Let me first of all identify the two extremes that people drift to whenever we talk about the kingdom. There are two extremes that we are tempted to drift to every time kingdom is mentioned. The first extreme are those who become spiritists. Everything you say, they spiritualize it. It's as if they live in the spirit realm. That's an extreme. That's not really of God. It's an extreme. And the second extreme are the materialistic people. Every kingdom dimension you mention, they reduce it to materialism. If you call blessing, they are thinking car. If you call promotion, they are thinking office. These two dimensions are extreme position, and God fights them in every dispensation. If you take any of these extreme, you cannot work with God. As beautiful as it may look that you are a spiritual man, if all you have is spiritism, you are not faithful. You are not favored of God. And if you are a material person, you don't even need explanation. Lust have taken over your operating system, and you are an enemy of God. These two extremes are not of God. In Luke chapter 12 verse 20, the Bible spoke of a rich man. He obeyed all the laws and principles of wealth creation. He was a wise man, diligent in his services, until he gathered his barn, and his barn was full. And he said, now my soul can rest. And God spoke from heaven. He said, you fool. That's the extreme of materialism. You fool, tonight your soul will be summoned. The second extreme is for the super spiritual. The super spiritual that call everything spirituality. In Luke chapter 16, you study the book, the story of Lazarus. Lazarus was so spiritual that he was earthly useless. The moment Lazarus died, angels came quickly and mobilized him to heaven because of his blazing righteousness. Hallelujah. He was carried to Abraham's bosom. In a moment, he was already with Abraham. But on earth, he was useless. So he could not advance the kingdom. Remember, the Bible says, my kingdom through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad. Spiritism is not of God. Materialism is not of God. Now, the balance is not mediocrity. The balance is not in the center. The balance is not taking the average. The balance is the pattern that God himself sets in motion. There is an order called the divine order, and every generation must find the divine order. Jesus is the revelation of the divine order. The Bible said in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 2 that he is the author and the finisher of our faith. So if you want to understand how God works, if you want to understand the standards of God, if you want to know the patterns of God, the person to study is Jesus. The extent to which you understand Jesus and how he deals with affairs will reveal to you the order of heaven. Jesus met the woman at the woman of Samaria in Sychar at Jacob's well. John chapter 4 from verse 5. And Jesus begins to talk with this woman, engaging her in a conversation. And Jesus says to her, give me to drink. And the woman will respond to Jesus and say, you are a Jew. Why would you ask me, a Samaritan, to give you to drink? And Jesus answered her, if you knew who it is that have asked you, give me to drink, you would have asked of me, and I would have given you rivers of living waters. So Jesus shifted the conversation from earthly dimension to heavenly dimensions. You are conscious of the water. You are conscious of geographical locations. You are conscious of tribal differences. You are conscious of nationalities. But the realm where I'm talking from is the realm where there is a water that does not go dry. And the woman said, you are not with anything to draw. From whence will you get this water? That's a woman who is caught to the natural. Materiality, that's her realm. The only thing she knows in everything she does are his natural advantages. Because I am from Sychar, because this well is around here, because I have something to draw, I should be the one to have the water. But Jesus is revealing to her there's a place that you will stand, and none of these things will be a lack. There's a place that you will stand, and you will have an advantage both in the natural and in the spirit. The woman could not understand because all she knew were natural advantages. I have the material to draw. The well is for us. You are a Jew, you can't ask us. And Jesus laughed. And Jesus told her, go call your husband. And the woman said, I have not husband. And Jesus said, in that you have said true, because you have married 5 husbands, and the one that you are with is not your husband. And the woman quickly changed her salutation. She began to migrate. This is how next level takes place. At first, you are naturally oriented. Now she migrates and says, I perceive. Perception has come in. She's no longer functioning with data. She's now functioning with a spiritual advantage. Perception. I perceive you are a prophet. In all her dealings before now, perception was not a part of it. She only operates by information. She only operates by natural advantage. But now she's shifting because she's what? She's engaging Jesus. I perceive that you are a prophet. And Jesus shook his head. You have moved, but there's still a place. Some of you, that all your advantage is your salary. After this conference, you will discover that it's not salary. You will move. Because when you engage Jesus, you will understand that there's an economy called grace. Grace has no regard for job. Grace has no regard for where you are from. Grace has no regard to your natural limitation. Listen, the disciples of Jesus were fishermen. They have no value in their dispensation. They were peasants, but they met somebody and they migrated. All of a sudden, their value system changed. Their confidence level changed. Everything about their paradigm was altered because they met a man that speaks from eternity. I perceive you are a prophet. And Jesus laughed. Jesus wanted to take her a bit further. And she now shifted. Her priority changed immediately. She said, our fathers worshipped. Worship was not part of her registers. All they knew was how to survive. But now she's beginning to hear a man that speaks and have his voice echo from eternity. And the woman migrated from water. She came for water, but now she's talking worship, migration. She's no longer talking about water. Is the water necessary? Yes. But if I understand what I'm going to handle now, even water will be provided. That's why it says, seek first the kingdom and its righteousness. All other things will be added. She has migrated from water. He said, our fathers worship God on these mountains, but you say God should be worshipped in Jerusalem. And Jesus took her further. He said, a time comes and now is where true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Why? Because you will no longer worship on the mountain, kingdom and its righteousness. All other things will be added. She has migrated from water. He said, our fathers worship God on these mountains, but you say God should be worshipped in Jerusalem. And Jesus took her further. He said, a time comes and now is where true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Why? Because you will no longer worship on the mountain. You will no longer worship in Jerusalem. Where you will worship is in the spirit. The woman got confused. And he said, well, when the Messiah comes, you have said something that I don't understand, and I don't know how we understand it. But somewhere in the archives that the Father has handed over to us, they say the Messiah have answer to every question. So when the Messiah come, he will tell me what you mean by spirit. And Jesus looked at her and said, I that speak unto you, I am he. Notice what happened. The Bible said the woman left her pot. That was what she carried to the well. But she did what? She left her pot and she ran into the city because her hunger was not water. What was pulling her was the voice of an evangelist that was co-opted into her creation from the day of heaven. She was designed to be a voice to her generation. The reason she subscribed to the way of water was because of scarcity of touching the things that were bordering on ordination. Now that she has found ordination, that water is people that will faith for her. When you see a girl 15 years fornicating, don't be in a rush to quarrel her. There is something she's responding to. Is the emptiness in her soul. When you see a man of 35 without purpose, don't be in a rush to even advise. Let me tell you, the matters that go about people's life, they are patterns orchestrated by spiritual intelligence. The reason somebody will continue in a life without value is because the predominant source of influence is vanity. If you can talk to the ordination of that person, you will see a harlot become an evangelist. Jesus didn't advise her about her husband. Jesus only spoke to her reality.